The people have spoken. They want more RFC. RFC Fight Night, it's coming back. And this time, it's showtime. RFC 27, showtime. In the main event, Jin La Pulga Herrera versus Jarrett Thundercat Crawford. July 27 in A La Carte Pavilion in Tampa. Brought to you by NSV, live on TV Vision.
This is Total Action.
This is our environment. I mean, I don't.
These are the stories of fighters that
The people have spoken. They want more RFC. RFC Fight Night, it's coming back. And this time, it's showtime. RFC 27, showtime. In the main event, Jin La Pulga Herrera versus Jarrett Thundercat Crawford. July 27 in A La Carte Pavilion in Tampa. Brought to you by NSV, live on TV Vision.
Welcome to RFC on the Table. Real talk at its best. This is Ralph Garcia. This is Joe Valdez, matchmaker extraordinaire for RFC. You got Tommy Trauma, legend, local legend here in Tampa, Florida. Got Chris Hickman over here, world famous trainer. And you got Jarrett Thundercat Crawford in the house fighting for the 135 Florida title coming up at the next RFC event, which is RFC 27. That's in July. We're going to go back over the previous RFC, which was in Ocala. Huge event. We had RFC 26, Legends Return. Main event was Tommy Trauma over here, winning by submission. First round, looked very impressive, went against a very tough opponent. Tommy, tell us a little bit how you felt about that fight.
Well, I was a little nervous about it. I watched his fights against Brett Rogers and Don Fry earlier in the year before. Warpath's always a game fighter. If you look at his record, it's not real stellar. But at the same time, if you look at his opponents are the upper echelon of the fighters. So I really studied the Brett Rogers fight because that's the one that was most pertinent to our fight. I'm a striker / wrestler. He's a striker. On the ground, he didn't have much. So I didn't want to get lulled into a false sense of security standing up with him. He's 6'5", he's got the reach, he's got, he is, American Indian, so he's got a face of granite. So I didn't know, how suspect his chin was. I've seen in a lot of his fights, he wasn't stopped. The only guy that I thought really stopped him was Mighty Mo in the K1 Dynamite. So.
And Tommy, to be fair, back then, he wasn't in the greatest shape. He got in better shape now in the second half of his career. Yeah. He was actually in good shape coming in.
I think I heard rumors that he was going to go to 205, like you said. So when he came in, I was surprised to see how lean he was, and in good shape. Albeit we're in our 40s now, but it was an exciting fight, and for me, I just came out. I wanted to put it on him. A lot of people start with a slow pace with him. You know me, Joe. I never start slow. I wanted to start slower, but at the same time, I wanted to have a concerted effort. You
don't do nothing slow,
so
bro.
I don't go.
Tommy's never had a decision win. And let's just put it that way. Tom, win, lose, or draw. Tom's gonna make it exciting.
Well, actually, I think that benefited him. And what really threw him off, Ralph, was that high kick. He came out with a high kick.
I'm gonna tell you from a trainer standpoint, this guy had some back issues going into that fight, and this guy tells me, "I'm not gonna kick him, coach. I'm not gonna kick him." Goes out there, kicks him, punches him, and then I can't say anything because he takes him down and he follows up on it. And how do you respond to that other than but he did it.
Yeah, awesome. I was commentating, and I remember right when I saw you hit him with I think it was the right
hand, yeah,
right hand, and then you switch left head kick. When you caught that, because the guy's 6'4", how tall are you?
Yeah, I'm only 5'11". I like to say 6 foot with my shoes on.
We all do.
But I'm 5'11". I'm shrinking.
5'11", and you caught this guy flush, and he dropped. Yeah. I stood up. I had to stop. I said, "Oh, I'm commentating." I was like, "Oh!" I had to stop and sit back down. Go, "Oh, that was a beautiful kick by Tommy."
It's something. Me and Chris are both 4th degree under Shino Kyokai, which was at Sensei Charles Gray and Sensei Stewart out of Magnum Karate Studios in Dallas, Texas. So we have a big background in kicking, and a lot of guys don't think the fat guys, the heavyweights, can kick, but I like to mix it up like that. You know what I'm saying? I like to put it in there, and I don't think he expected that.
He didn't, and he told me that's what threw him off guard.
Yeah, the head kick.
He wants to claim the right hand didn't bother him that much, but the head kick.
Yeah, and I think you're right. He didn't claim it, but when I was pounding on him and Chris Adams, I was looking at my shoulder, going, just about to call Chris's name because every time I hit him, his eyes are rolling back in his head. So I figured I went for the anaconda choke, but he's too damn big to close it up. His shoulders were huge. I tried to go into the shoulders, so I went for I call it my north-south. I have another name for it that I won't say, but it's kind of like a Darce choke from reverse position. So it's worked very well for me. So in a lot of fights, once I get you there, it's almost impossible. Being a wrestler with a good base, you're not going to get out of it. It's my body versus your neck, which doesn't work out very well for the opponent. So,
Tom, I want to give you a lot of props. A lot of people don't know about it. Just us sitting at the table, the back issues you were going through.
Oh yeah, I was out.
He definitely, and he said he would never pull out of that fight, and he didn't. Guys half his age would have pulled out.
Yeah,
That's why we have a show like this. There's some behind the scenes that people never get to know.
I got
about.
some lidocaine, some chiropractic investment, a lot of pain pills.
This poor guy replaced more guys for this one event than probably the last year's worth of bouts.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, one match after another.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. We had a great time, man. It just motivated me. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, Joe, training for that fight, I've always wanted to fight for your show just because we've been such good friends. And you've always afforded Chris and I an opportunity for our guys to showcase their talents. I was just excited. It was like coming home.
Go ahead and say it.
Whether it's
this
camp or
cheap bastard one.
That was just a radio show. I had to throw a curveball.
Radio show.
Today I feel like this is The View, but on the radio, you and Jorge couldn't get to me. You know what I'm saying? So that was fun.
But it leads to bigger things. We want to, Ralph.
Yeah, we got Tommy right here in Tampa, USF Sundom, July 20th, making his Bellator debut. So you heard it here. He's fighting Bellator against another up-and-coming heavyweight, Chris Barnett. I'm excited about that fight. That fight could be a main event on any other card, and it's on the prelims for Bellator.
Yeah, we're a get-a-buy fight, but at the same time, Chris is an up-and-comer. He's a stud. He's had a problem finding fights in the area. I don't know if he had management issues.
I know for a fact he had a fight with Gonzaga. Gonzaga didn't want to fight. Pulled out because he wanted to get his 3 wins and get back to UFC.
Oh yeah.
So Chris, not an easy fight.
Well, that shows you how Tommy T rolls. And Hickman, if these guys don't turn down, this guy don't turn down no fight.
He won't back down from a real fight.
At the same time, Chris is the same way. He lost to Eric Prindle in a tough fight, which could have went either way at any point. They were both breathing super. I mean, Eric Prindle's a monster, and he
just won the Bellator tournament for heavyweights.
Correct. Well, he lost. He lost
the championship, but he won the tournament though. Yeah.
Eric Prindle had over 100 fights in the military. He was a 5-time All-Army heavyweight boxing champion. So, and Chris banged with him the whole time, and he was never hurt by Prindle. So, that's something. Prindle beat him to the punch. So, but Chris is a game opponent. He's very unorthodox, just like I am. He has a Taekwondo background. Did his family own a studio here
in Georgia?
In Georgia.
Yeah, that's where he's back in Georgia now. I think with the hardcore gym, but he also cross trains over there. It's called Barnett's Taekwondo. I don't know exactly where in Georgia, but it's been in Georgia since he was a kid.
Okay, there you go. Yep. So I'm excited about it. It's a big spot, and when we're done with that, hopefully you guys will give me another fight. I'm always up for Tampa. It's my favorite spot, though.
So we're gonna do it.
Going back to the card for RFC Legends, the big card in Ocala, we had an awesome turnout there because we have so many Ocala fighters there. You guys had a guy that's going to fight on this next RFC 27 named Dex Christmas. Tell us about that kid. That kid's
Dex, the evil elf for Christmas. This kid is, as much energy and power that you could pack into 125 pounds. This kid is game. He didn't realize as a professional that there's an actual 125-pound weight class. This kid's been fighting as an amateur. Kids weighing anywhere between 130 and 150. This kid has always been the underweight, the underdog at each of his bouts. He's accumulated a record of 11-1 as an amateur, has a belt, and now he's 1-0 with the debut he just had with the RFC 27 or 26. And the kid comes. He is a game opponent. We've trained with him. He's been with our program for about 7 or 8 years now.
He's been with us since 8th grade.
He is a testament to hard training.
That's the up and coming MMA fighters coming up now. The guys that are now, that's all they know is MMA, not any kind of traditional art, and then mixing it up. That's all they're doing.
And Ryan is a game opponent. That's the one thing about it. You got to remember, Ryan was a 55er, dropped down to 45, got us down to 35 now, and he took the fight on short notice with Jared, and we were very appreciative of that. But at the same fact, he comes from a strong camp. He's always game to fight, and he's not afraid to throw hands, and neither is is Dex, and that's what's going to be so great about, because they're both great athletes, and at 25, that's what we want to see. As trainers, we want to test these kids. We want to make sure that they're getting the right training. I mean, right now, especially the lighter weight classes, we have more guys at that weight to train with than ever before. And the kids that are coming out are just like Dex. They've been doing it for 7, 8, 10 years at a time. It's a different athlete. The amateurs now are probably better than some of the pros that were around 10 years ago.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And with that, 11-1, I mean, we're talking 13 fights now, Ralph. I mean, it makes a big difference in what the final product is. I look forward for this Ryan Seals Dex Christmas fight to be full of big slams, probably some big heavy hands, and the great thing about it is they both have the gas to go 3 rounds nonstop.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too, and that's the first time we're going to have that 125 division in.
It's
the
a great
RFC.
addition.
Yeah, and Ryan feels that's where he should be at.
Yeah, I was
He
gonna say it
feels-
must be nice to fight somebody your own weight for once. You know, I finally experienced it, man. It was.
But you
know,
keep on
it's a
cutting
big
your weight, you might
difference.
be in that division sooner or later.
I don't know, man.
For a guy that started
I didn't
at-
even want to try to fight at 32 whenever they called me with it. To be honest with you.
All right, then we had fight number 2. Another one of your guys, Ocala guy, Howard Reese, who had knockout of the night.
Dundada Reese, and I asked him, I said, how do you get a nickname Dundada? He goes, that's it, coach. After I hit somebody, Dundada, it's over. I said, well, what are you going to do to train for this? He goes, watch, coach. And he came in, he was in there consistently. And you got to remember, we got so many guys, like I said, at that weight class, and they're getting faster, they hit harder. These kids, and I guarantee you, pound for pound at 145, Howard Reese hits just as hard, and Tom and I were just talking about it, as any 185 or 200 pounder.
It's insane. The only guy that I've ever felt with his power was Crazy Horse Charles Bennett. And now we've got a new Crazy Horse that's more focused.
He reminds me
Stays
of-
out of trouble. He hasn't been
Clean
incarcerated
kid.
at the state level yet.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And he's a good guy. He works every day. He comes to the gym. in the
Family
morning,
guy.
comes to the
He's
gym at
got
night.
his
So,
That guy
priorities.
looks like he's 170.
his arms are bigger than mine.
Unreal.
He's got 17.5-inch arms, you know.
Can't have no
You know,
wheels being that
He's
big.
got vapor trails, but he's strong. He can pick me. I mean, Jared's roll with him, and he slammed Jared. You know what I mean? You know, Jared being the better wrestler, but Jared not feeling a threat. You know what I mean? But Howard will pull some stuff out of
He's
his
the
butt.
strongest
you know what I
guy
mean?
under 160 pounds I've ever.
He's a tremendous athlete,
done
and
anything with.
Well,
once
yeah, unfortunate for Mark DeFord, and we want to make it clear the Mark's okay. He had a bad night.
Yeah,
He got
his
caught, but
camp.
health-wise, he's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and it was an ugly knockout, but he came back and he was doing all right. Last time I checked with his trainer Ryan Hodge at F2 and Darkside, and those guys, they come both camps. I mean, they took that fight willingly, saying that they were really excited for the Howard
Prince,
fight.
I'll tell you what, I thought DeFord was doing pretty good before he got caught there.
Oh, he was in the fight the whole
I thought
time.
that was going to be a tough fight,
yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, and especially if he'd got Howard to the ground, because that's where
Yeah.
he thought Howard was going to be.
Mark was an exceptional amateur. He did real
Yeah.
well on my show. I think
I've
he was
seen him fight
4-1 on my show. So
Yeah, on the WCW.
I thought he was going to take
good.
Howard straight to the ground if
So
he
did
could.
I. So did I.
Howard's
Just didn't
takedown
work
defense
out.
was good for that fight, though. And every time you hit him, he kept on setting up that left inside kick and the left hook, and then he finally caught him with that right.
And he really didn't develop that, Ralph. It's funny, until the last week before the fight.
We talked about it. We had a sprawl and brawl mentality for DeFord, because DeFord is from F2 Arena. They're very notable for their ground game, not notable for the stand-up. So we said sprawl and brawl, and then let's see how it develops. You know, if you feel like he's outclassed me on the ground, let's keep it on the feet, and that's what Chris put together for him. So when you're sprawling Jared and Dex, nobody else is taking you down at your weight class.
Yeah, I think I got to say, the other day I was there for y'all's training camp. I was amazed. I was telling Ralph, you guys had 40, 50 people in there, and what a camp you had going with everybody fighting.
Yeah, we're blessed
Reese,
right now, yeah.
Tommy and Carlos fighting in Bellator, Jared, Dex, and Howard fighting in RFC 27. You had Crazy Horse
And
fighting
he's always
this
doing
coming
the
weekend.
amateur show, so he probably
The
got
We just had 8
amateurs,
guys
they
fight
had
over
40,
the
50, and he had
weekend,
it. That's one of the biggest camps I've seen in a long
You
time.
got Bukovic, you got Mike Boom Boom Bukovic always waiting in the wings for whatever comes his way. You know, a tough fighter in his own right. So yeah, we're
That's
pretty
great for all the
blessed.
guys fighting. That's great.
Yeah, we're very
That's where a lot
blessed.
of camps miss it at. They don't have all the sparring partners.
Yeah, you need
around.
it. If you don't have the different looks, you get used to the same partners. We talk about that all the time.
That's right.
Yep.
Fight 4 man on that card was Ryan Seals to fight that we just talked about against Jared Crawford here at 135. And I want to tell you, Jerry, your ground and pound was awesome in that fight. Every fight I see you, you're looking better.
Yeah, that's the plan, man. Get better every time. I mean, I kind of got tunnel vision as soon as I seen blood, and I was like, well, I wasn't even thinking about submission after that, you know? I was like, man, I'm just going to elbow him until he stops. And then the second round, I heard him saying, I can't see. And I was like, well, I'm going to wait for Chris Adams to talk to him for a minute. So I quit hitting him, and I was just looking at him, and he was like, you want to continue? Yeah. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. They finally stopped it. I was like, man, I felt good to get my first TKO, man,
You
as a
look good,
professional.
and because you look so good, you got this title fight coming out with Gian. So we'll talk about that later on. But what kind of differences have you seen from his very first fight when he fought Tom Crothers to now?
Wow. I mean, as a professional, it's so funny because you watch these guys come in and their eyes open up. I mean, this kid's got 11 fights. That's what a lot of folks don't realize about, you know. Jared started off, he was a heavy guy. We had to get his weight down, and we gradually took the right fights to build up his skill level to match. And then confidence came. And as the confidence came, now he's willing to take some punches. He's able to give them. He gets in there, takes down just about anyone he wants. And that's going to be a great thing for him in the future, especially at that weight class, is that he is a big 135er, and he's not even, he's hovering around the weight now. I mean, and for a guy that the last fight was 155, 160, and trying to make that 32 cut it was a lot. But now we're walking around, he'll be within 10, 15 pounds at any given day, so that way come the week of the fight, he'll be on the money, dialed in. His nutrition's better this time around. His recovery is twice as fast. I mean, we got him on the right, you know, direction to I basically complete the package, because right now, up to now, it's just been getting his skills up. Now we're getting his knowledge of nutrition, trying to get his eating right, trying to teach him about the right timing of taking his supplements. And
Get my opponent shorter and shorter. Yeah. I hate fight guys that are 6 foot tall.
For once, he's got somebody
Every
who's
time.
shorter than him, I think.
Oh, so he's
sure.
taller.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he's not that much taller. I'm used to 6 foot, man, 6'1", you know.
But he's lighter than you, though. So
Yeah,
I mean, he's walking around at 137, so you get the weight advantage. But that goes back to just like you said, learning the nutrition part of it. It's like leading a horse to water. We'll tell you what to do. This is what you got to do. You'll make weight every time. But 80% of the time, guys never listen.
It's baby steps to greatness. It actually is. You know, fighters aren't born. Although they're born with spirit, they're built into what they do. You know, I believe that, you know, like you take a guys like John Bones Jones or somebody like that, or Cain Velasquez and Bones. I've been watching them since they entered the UFC. They're built. You know, Rashad Evans is another one. All they were was wrestlers.
Yeah.
And they didn't even look that impressive in their first few outings.
That's true.
But like you said, they're coachable. You put the building blocks of the fighter. Anything you give John or anything you give Cain, they're good at.
Yeah.
They make it theirs because they're coachable, they care, and they're trying as hard as they possibly. And they're D1 athletes.
I'll tell you what, I see a lot in this kid here, man. I see a lot of that in this kid here.
Fight 5 going on. We had a guy named Socrates Pierre versus one of your guys, Aaron Steadman.
Yep.
And Aaron usually fights at 145, but he had like 2 opponents drop out or something.
Yeah, it was the last minute.
So he went up to 155 for this fight. Still, you know, he wanted to fight. It was like a week notice, so he said, you know, I'll just go up. I'm walking around at that weight already. He fought. He did good. He got caught in a submission.
Yeah, he got caught in a rear choke, and he fought that for probably 2 minutes. But I mean, Aaron, if you look at that fight, he actually stunned him right off the bat.
Left hook, I
Socrates,
believe, right?
he hit him to the body so hard that Socrates was like immediate. Let's take him down to the ground, and that told me that Aaron's got power in his punches.
Socrates Pierre is a kickboxer.
Yeah,
right?
and that's what we were looking at. And I'll be honest, he got caught. Aaron gave up his back, and just, you know, it was just kind of one of those things that happened. I think Aaron still has a good future with RFC and with MMA. I think Socrates has got a bright future too, and he's a big 55er, and I think that the guy is got, you know, right now it's up to him. His performances are going to dictate his future. You know what I'm saying? Because that kid could.
Well,
really
we owe him a
exciting.
fight. We'll probably bring him back in November.
Didn't he call somebody out after his fight or something? Socrates?
I don't know. One of Bill's, Julian Bryant, the one that fought.
Or Julian.
What did you say, Joe?
Julian.
He is a big dude. And you said he was driving down from Tallahassee MMA with
drove
the heat on.
The heat
by
on
himself
with the
And
plastic sweatsuit.
You're calling him every 20 minutes to make sure he didn't.
Are you awake, Dave? We worried about him passing out there on
that guy's
I-75.
hardcore, buddy.
That's a hardcore fighter there by himself.
He wants to fight.
He wants to fight.
So he is a big dude, and if he fights
Yeah.
at that weight class and gets better every time, he's going to be.
So you called him, he was like, Joe, I'm at 180, I'll make 155. When's the fight? Tomorrow? Okay, I'll start driving now.
Then you called him the last time, he said, slowing down.
Tough kid.
Very tough individual.
Fight 6, we had Aaron Conway from F2 Gym going against the Rooster, Carlos Gonzalez from out of you guys' Gym USA Martial Arts.
The Rooster, yeah, that was a good fight.
Yeah, I liked the fight. The only thing I didn't like was when Rooster did a striptease and took his cup off and threw his shorts.
Oh,
I was like, no.
Wow, that's
I am
not
so
what I
sorry
need.
you
It's
saw that. I was locked in the back. I didn't see that.
Wow.
Actually, I thought Rooster looked good.
Oh, I thought you said you liked it. I
No, I'm talking about the fight, Tom.
I was getting a little
I thought he was
disturbed
gonna
there
say that.
myself, but For two guys that both know how to self-promote, and they talked a good game, both coming up to that event, and they both had their crowds there. I mean, both
Got heated at the weigh-in.
Yeah, it got real heated, nose to nose. Those two,
Yeah.
and I mean, between
And they're actually
we should have had a
friends.
Mohawk contest
We
beforehand.
did. We had it built up as the best Mohawk in Florida.
There you go.
But you know what's funny? All that heat, but in between, there was a couple fouls, growing shots. I was laughing because he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, did I hurt you last time? I'm sorry." I'm like, these guys hate each other. I thought they were
Yeah.
always saying sorry before every little foul.
Dude, I trained with Carlos and I thought he hated him. I'm like, Coach, why do they hate each other? Oh, they don't. I'm like, oh.
You just built the fight up, huh?
Man.
But I think that's what I think the competitive nature of the sport, that you have to. It's not necessarily hate. It's that everybody here likes to win. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't compete. I mean,
Yeah,
people-
that's Carlos. You've seen the difference in them at the weigh-in because at Tommy's amateur fights, they were good. We all stood there. They weren't real friendly, but they were good. They said they respect each other. They were good. And then I'd tell Carlos at the weigh-in, "What happened? What did you get?" Like he goes, "Joe, you just pissed me off. I don't know."
You know, it was a weight cut.
yeah, well, that's
It was
for
the
sure.
weight cut
It
because
was.
Carlos has never been good at cutting weight.
Speaking of that, what's Carlos fighting at a Bellator?
He's gonna fight 170.
170.
Because you got to remember when Carlos came to us, he was a 225, 230 pounder. We had to teach him that tater tots was not a food group. That, you know, it's not.
that's good
it
carbs.
just-
He's walking around. He's walking around right now.
Right.
He's about 12 pounds.
Yeah, he,
chicken
he thought Hot Pockets were actually one of the scheduled meals of the day.
Tell that boy
So,
to give up some of them Cuban
I know,
sandwiches.
I
Start
know,
drinking
you know.
an NFE shake. A couple of those
I'm
a
telling
day.
you right now, NFE would be, and for another thing, Carlos is a race car driver, so
Does NFE sponsor any of your guys?
all of our guys take NFE. That's the only
Yeah.
way they get.
I still haven't got none
Howard
of my
Reese.
guys NFE because I know you're sponsoring the show. I haven't got none of my guys.
Oh,
I haven't
there
even
it is,
tasted
calling them
a
out on
shake.
the
What?
Oh, all right, let's go on to the next one. Co-main event. We got guy used to be with you guys, James Hammertree, versus Aaron Tex Johnson, who took the fight last minute from Georgia, but was scheduled to fight after that, I guess the next month. He goes, you know what, I'm in fight shape right now. I'll take that fight. I think that's a good fight for me. What'd you guys think about that fight with James?
I'm surprised. I mean, honestly, Jim's a great wrestler. I thought that he had, you know, that fight setting up, we were looking at it as it's going to be a great, you know, sprawling brawl, both of them. And nobody knew what this Tex Johnson kid was capable of. I think he was underestimated.
Well,
I think he came into
Hammertree came in there because Hammertree and TJ trained for quite some time. TJ Cook and Hammertree were kind of training together. They had a little camp going, and TJ made quick work of this Aaron Johnson kid.
How's that? He caught him.
TJ caught him and then guillotined him. You know what I'm
TJ
saying?
can catch.
Well, wait, was
But,
that
you know,
185 or
anybody.
205?
It was at
Yeah,
205. So, you know, the biggest thing is when you hit somebody with a left hook, a TJ Cook left hook, you can submit it with anything.
Yeah,
you know, it can be a
anybody,
finger
yeah.
lock, you know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? But, you know, so I think that Hammertree had a false sense of security. You know, how TJ made quick work of and dispatched him. You know, and this Aaron Johnson, it was kind of revenge. Knowing that Hammertree and TJ trained together, this kid was focused on and waiting for his opportunity to pounce.
Yeah, he
And the
didn't
kid's no
hesitate
joke
at
on the
all.
ground.
And that kid,
no joke.
that kid just won a
Nasty,
dog.
nasty,
Just won a
nasty.
dog competition.
He wins
He's
tournaments
been
all
winning
over
the absolute
place.
division,
Yeah, exactly.
Copas,
Yeah.
Nagas, and what impressed me when the kid came in, because I've seen him fight in Georgia 2009 in a tournament at 185. He looked real skinny and lanky. This fight, when I saw him come in and he took his gi off because he came in with his jiu-jitsu
jacked.
rondo gi, I seen his legs and I was like, Jesus Christ, those are like tree trunks.
He looked like a heavyweight.
Yeah, and
He
I was
didn't even
like,
look like the same kid at weigh-ins.
He didn't
look
that
too-
kid,
he didn't
that
look
kid
too
looked
hot,
so
I'll tell you.
miserable at
No,
weigh-ins, and
he was jacked.
He
Yeah,
was
he
huge.
swelled
He was
right
huge.
up.
I
So.
tell you what, that shot, there's no way when he shot in, it was so explosive that
And that shot was a setup too, just to roll through the knee bar, and then Jim rolled the wrong way.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out for him. He tried to get out of it and kick out. He should have figured forward it in hindsight, but that's fighting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then we already talked about your fight. You were the main event, and you won by submission first round. Now you're on to Bellator. Let's see what we got here. We got a prospect. He just fought on your show, and he fought on our show here that we do. We did a tilted kilt named. I've got a brain fart now on my camera.
Well, we going with hot amateur prospect is Chris's guy that beat Country Boy.
Yeah.
What's your kid's name?
Yeah, Tim Lopez. This kid,
Brad, what's the kid? What's the country? boy's
Brad-
name?
Brad.
Country boy Brad Taylor. From
Brad
Brad
Taylor.
Taylor, tough
And Tommy and I went back and forth on this amateur fight, and we were looking for a title fight, and we found it. Brad is 17
Was that a
and 3.
title fight?
It was a title fight, and then the way they came about, Brad is 13-2. Actually, he's 13-3. He just lost last week to a split decision, which was bogus. It was up in Georgia. He actually beat the kid. I watched the tapes, but you know, it's just the way the judges saw it that night. So he's 13-3, And this Tim Lopez, a relative unknown, fought a few fights in Alabama for us back before he went to school in Tallahassee. Fought a fight in Tallahassee, you know, one and all unofficial records that you can research, but he has fought for Chris in the past. We brought him in there. Chris called me about 4 weeks ago and said, I got the guy for Brad Taylor. I'm like, what? Who's this guy? I came on, I'd been slacking since your show, you see, because it was quick. I was taking a little bit of a break, not knowing about this Bellator thing, and I went into the gym, rolled with him. I was like, you guys are right, because I'd rolled with Brad Taylor and rolling with Tim Lopez. I was like, this kid's he's the real deal. He's got submissions, he's got stand-up, he can take a shot, he's got takedowns, he's got position. He was just all around tough, you know, a good utility fighter at that level, you know what I'm saying, with a few amateur fights. And when he came in there, and with the exception of Brad throwing some really big flurries, he beat him from bell to bell, you know, until the end when he rear naked choked him.
We're going to go into that. We're going to take a commercial real quick. We'll be back talking about up-and-coming prospect for AMI fights, Brad Taylor. Be right back.
The people have spoken. They want more RFC. RFC Fight Night, it's coming back. And this time, it's showtime. RFC 27, showtime. In the main event, Jin La Pulga Herrera versus Jarrett Thundercat Crawford. July 27 in A La Carte Pavilion in Tampa. Brought to you by NSV, live on TV Vision.
Welcome back. I'm Ralph Garcia. We're here at the RFC on the table, real talk at its best. You catch us on rfcmma.com every month. We have different guests. Today's guest, again, Tommy Trauma, Joe Valdez, Chris Hickman, and the Thundercat, Jarrett Crawford, who's fighting for a title pretty soon. Going back, we're talking about hot prospects. We went over Brad Taylor being a hot AMI prospect. He just lost, you said, to one of your guys.
Tim Lopez kind of stole his glory, a little bit of his thunder. No offense, Jared. But in that win, it was so from beginning to end. He controlled the fight, and we knew Brad was a tough kid. We've trained with Brad. Brad's been in our gym, and he's got power in both hands. And Tom, you know, he was kind of unsure at first, and then he got a chance to train with Tim and Saul, and our prayers are with Tim today because he lost a family member. His father passed today, and definitely
Yeah,
sorry to hear that. But I think that Tim would love to have been here, and we spoke. He definitely thinks that this is opportunity that you guys are giving him by telling the folks out there that he is one of the top prospects is an honor, and he looks forward to eventually fighting for the RFC.
Oh, definitely. I have him on the card, and we'll bring him on here for sure next time we do a show.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of Brad Taylor, talking about how tough he is, he's on that TV show, X-Men. Yeah, so that kid's tough. If you could be out there in the woods cutting down trees for a living,
You're tough.
Yeah, you're tough. Going up, the next prospect we have is a pro prospect, another one of your guys, Howard Reese.
Howard Reese, that Dundada kid, boy, he is something. That kid's got thunder in both hands. I'm telling you right now, he is going to be something. At 45, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's strong. He's the full athlete. He knows how to box. He can wrestle. His submission game we're still developing, but the kid picks up fast. And with the right coaching, the right teammates that he has right now, there's no telling how far this kid can go.
Now, speaking of that, because you said he hits hard, and you guys say he hits like a 180-pounder, 190-pounder. Everybody in Ocala hits hard. We've always talked about that. Anytime someone comes from Ocala and you're fighting someone from Ocala, from Tampa, we're like, they hit hard.
It's
We
in the
used to
water.
say,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly
It's a
what
must.
we used
It's
to
a
say
must.
was
Getting to the
water.
water fountain is a must to be able to punch hard and kick hard.
That's
That's
They hit hard.
you seen? Have you seen the women in Ocala?
It's that horse meat. You guys do the same thing I was doing, right?
Horse meat, I mean, it's good. It tastes just like chicken, you know?
Well, Tom and I both come from karate backgrounds. That's where we got our start, and I think that's what we are true to form in the fact that we know what it takes to make champions, and that's kicking and punching. People, no matter what, they want to see somebody get knocked out. And no matter how many submissions you get against somebody, when it's highlight real time, you don't ever see submission this, submission that. You know, you want to see the big KO, and Howard's going to bring that every time, and that kid's he's got something special about him. And I think that with the next couple of fights, you're going to see it start to come out more and more.
Well, we'll see in
And I'll
July
put this in here
27th.
real quick. That real quick with all our guys that train with us, the difference is I go to a lot of schools and I've trained a lot of places. So I promote like you on a lesser level at the amateur level. Nobody bangs like we do. We'll put you in there at any weight. Of course, we're gonna titrate to effect. You know, you go as hard as you want us to go, but we beat the living daylights out. We beat the brakes off of each other in a live situation with big gloves. You know, I'll put 16s and they can have 12s on, but it's a live fight.
Well, that's the way
I
to
kick
do
you,
it,
I punch
Tom.
you, I slam you without hurting you, but they're getting hit.
Well, you also know what a kid
So-
has. You're not going to wait 6 months and put him out there. A lot of these camps do, and then find out he has no heart or he can't take a punch come fight night.
That's
You
right.
guys find that out in the gym. Me and Ralph talk about that all the
Day
time.
one.
These guys find out by gym. If they're putting him up there, he can fight.
Yeah, you have to have the contact, but I know we go hard, but I've always heard stories about the guys in Ocala going
It's
hard.
true.
And I remember one time somebody came, it was Big Boy came up and said, you should one day go to Ocala and inspire Tommy Trauma. I said, hell no. I just want to
I was watching Partner Man over here asking Jared, how do you know you can take his punch? Because I hit him. And I know my punch is as hard as Manny's kicks.
Tough love. That's how it is. That's
That's it.
how we coach. Tough love.
Well,
man.
talking about that,
We got, Jerry Crawford up here, your title fight, man. You excited?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to fight.
actually, we got him down as fighter of the month.
Yeah, so we're here, fighter of the
Well,
month.
that's a
Fighter
typo.
of the month.
That's a typo. Hold up. That's not That is, I thought I read it wrong.
So let me ask you this. How'd you get that nickname, Thundercat?
Dude, I didn't have a nickname for all through amateur, then all through pro. When I fought, I think it was the Jay Lee fight, I was backstage and Dwayne came back and he's like, you got a nickname? I'm like, no. And my cousin's like, just got through watching, this is embarrassing to say, but everybody was at the hotel watching Thundercats. So my cousin's like, well, call him Thundercat. And I'm like, man, I don't want that nickname or whatever. I came out, Dwayne calls it anyways, but I guess all the kids liked it, so it stuck. I mean,
So do you watch Thundercat to pump you up before a fight?
nah, man, I don't watch it. My
I'm
cousin
going to
does.
put this guy on blast, though, because he's not with me no more. Chris Baton used to watch Power Rangers. Before fights. I walk in, and he's like, oh, no. I was like, you watching Power
Maybe
Rangers?
it's something about the classic cartoons, man. I don't know.
It pumped him up, man.
Thundercat is a great name. The kids have taken to this guy. He's a good role model for the folks out there, the young folks especially. And honestly, it's just a lot more marketable than the Angry Gnome. We couldn't figure out how to make that.
Yeah, now we finally got somebody smaller than me in the gym today,
So he got
gets to
that
be the
nickname.
gnome
The
now.
evil elf,
The
I
evil
mean.
elf.
I like it, the whole Thundercat symbol, all that. And it looks good. And you got a lot of sponsors, man. Give a shout out to some of your
Yeah, I'm
sponsors.
finally
man.
getting sponsors. Split Lip's been with me since my second pro fight, I think. 5-Star Pizza, man, back where I live, they've been with me since amateur. Like, they've wanted to sponsor me.
That's when
since
you were
then.
200 pounds.
200-pound
Yeah.
Jared.
They sponsor
You
you a
got
lot
free
back then.
pizzas for sponsorship.
He was a
Yeah,
different-
Can't give an
free
amateur
pizza
money.
for
You give
sponsorships.
He was the other Jared.
And I mean, I'm looking for any sponsors, that I can get that are going to help me out. All my supplement sponsors and FE, everybody. I mean, everybody's helping me. It's nice to not have to pay for my own training camp in a way, Fighting out of state all the time when I was an amateur, I mean, we were paying out of pocket to fight up there, It gets expensive if you don't have the funding
Yeah,
for it.
people don't see that, yeah.
A lot of people don't understand it, so.
Yeah, we also got right next to you, Trainer of the Month, Chris Hickman.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having us on the show today. And just the RFC, we've all known each other now since the beginning. And it's been quite a relationship. And Ralph, we've all developed our friendship over the years. And it's kind of funny how so many young guys have come up through the sport of MMA, especially in Florida, and they were involved with the RFC in some shape or form. And right now, as you guys honor me with Trainer of the Month, I appreciate the fact of just good friendships and relationships based from MMA. Tom and I grew up together as kids, and we're doing something that very few people do. Very few people have a childhood friend that they get to grow up and do something with like
And it's
this.
something you guys both
And
love.
we're not
Love
childhood
to
friends
do.
with you, but we've been friends with you for years. And as far as integrity and heritage, which, leaving your legacy, RFC has the most integrity and has been here the longest. I mean, who has lasted and been consistent with their shows? You're on RFC, was this 27?
27.
People have come and gone since you started. You know what I'm saying? They've
Since we all
been the next
started.
big thing
We all started
and went
together.
out. We all started back, with Berto and all those guys, and it's come full circle. Now we're those guys in that position, and Chris is right. You guys are awesome, and the opportunity and the guys, who have come from your shows and went on are pretty exciting. Had Brookins fought on a show too, didn't he?
We've got a
Yeah.
bunch of guys over the years that have come through the RFC. I mean, right now,
I think we're going to take it to another level
Yeah.
with the amateurs, thanks to Tommy and Ralph. You guys doing amateurs in Ocala and
Yeah.
Tampa
That's
like that.
gonna help.
These kids turning pro are on another level.
Yeah,
Like I
they're
said, it gets
not
that
what we were.
experience where you had guys before that shouldn't be pro at all, and
Yeah.
they're going pro because they want
Right.
to fight, and they get one fight and that's it. They're done to get hurt. Oh, I don't want to do that no more.
It doesn't make sense. But the ones nowadays, and me and Chris try to tell our guys, 15 to 20 fights. I know it sounds crazy, but what do Olympic Benitez from Ocala, Danny Santiago and all those guys, they had 100 amateur boxing matches.
Andre Bertle, too.
Yeah.
Andre Berto, 100, and you know what I'm saying? And that makes a champion. I'm not saying 100 MMA matches because you'd have to be pretty durable. But at the same time, you need to have you had 2 or 3 years
Gotta
of
be that
amateur
base.
experience. Would you agree?
Yeah, we're talking about me and Mike Yanez the other day. We're talking about after you get your 5 fights, because you can only ground and pound to the body here in Florida with the rules, and you have shin guards. They should do maybe regular ground and pound to the head
That's right.
after you have 5 fights.
Very
If you
much
stay
so.
long enough to
Yeah,
do more.
advanced rules.
And I agree with that, because that's the next evolution. That's the next step. And they're not ready yet. Their Jedi training is not complete until you can actually. Dex Christmas said that he goes, Coach. He came back and told Joe and Chris that I got to hit him in the face on the ground. Wow. That's exciting. You know what I mean? But it is. It
for
makes
someone
a big
who
difference as a
takes
wrestler.
someone down to the ground every fight and
Yeah.
tries to punch them, it's
Yeah, and then guys are like, oh, well, he can't finish fights. Well, with the rules, you can't hit no one in the face. How are you going to finish somebody if you're just punching them to the body? It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard enough when you ain't.
All right, guys, coming up, we got the RFC 27 Showtime. Let's talk about a couple of the fights on that card. Joe Valdez, what prospects you have coming up on that card?
Well, we got some real good amateurs turning pro that night. You got Ivan DeValley, your guy.
He's 5-0. Won a belt on Mike Yanez's show, Battle of Tampa, and he defended it. And he's looking good. He's got good wrestling background, good martial arts, traditional karate background from Puerto Rico. He's a stud. I can't wait to unleash him because, like, same thing. He couldn't finish fights, they say, because it's ground and pound. You can't hit to the face. This kid in the gym is messing people up right now with the ground and pound to the face.
Yep, and we got the main event. Jared Thundercat Crawford versus Gian La Puga Herrera for the Florida State Bantamweight title.
It's been a long fight, and it seems like a long time because
We've wanted the fight for a
we've
while.
asked for this fight, and it was just timing. I think now's the time, and I think that both fighters are actually looking forward to fighting each other. And
That's what you got to love about this fight, Chris. They're both real fighters. There's there's a lot of posers in this game. You got real fighters here. You got real, we all know the real fighters.
an affliction, sure.
Some fighters like that, but these up and coming young guys, these 2 kids are for real. They've both been asking to fight each other.
Right.
You know how many guys undefeated asked to fight each other?
That's
Oh
what I
yeah,
was
and Tommy and I used to laugh because he had a phrase and it kind of sucker free. It makes sense right now. Both of these kids are the real deal. They both want to fight each other, and they're both on a course, for greatness.
And it's going to be a 3-round fight, not 5-round, because it's for the Florida State title. And what I like about this, that title's already got some history behind it, because the former champ was Frank. What's Frank's last name?
Shapovalov.
And he fought it was here in the RFC that he won the
Yes,
belt
he won
versus
it.
Jack Murphy. So it's already got a lot of
And
history.
he went on to Bellator, right?
Bellator.
It's a lot of great
Right.
stuff. I mean, that belt has greatness attached to it. So we're very appreciative of you guys bringing us on and giving such an opportunity to this young guy right here.
All right, guys, check us out, rfcmma.com. Next show is going to be July. We're going to have another press conference or another RFC MMA show like this before the main Showtime show, which is RFC 27. Thank our guests for coming out. Jared Thundercat Crawford, maybe future 135 champ here in Florida. Got Coach of the Month, Chris Hickman. You got Tommy Trauma, local legend here in Florida, and fighting in Bellator coming up July 20th. So check us all out, guys. And thanks
in
to
the
always
house.
making these awesome matches. Matchmaker extraordinaire Joe Valdez and Jason Fryer for making everything happen, guys. I'm Ralph Garcia. Check us out. Thank you.
This is Total Action.
Our environment. I mean, not only
These are the stories of fighters that
The people have spoken. They want more RFC. RFC Fight Night, it's coming back. And this time, it's showtime. RFC 27, showtime. In the main event, Jin La Pulga Herrera versus Jared Thundercat Crawford. July 27 in Alacar Pavilion in Tampa. Brought to you by NSV. Live on TV Vision.